It's midday in Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics, coming to you live on channels television. First, the highlights. The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress clarifies details of the agreement between them and the federal government on monthly wage. Leaders in Owerri North, Imo State drum up support for the APC governorship candidate Hope Uzodinma in the November 11 election. And Governor of Abia State is asking President Bola Tinubu to investigate the allegation of sponsorship of IPOB leveled against him. Thank you so much for joining us on the program where we'll bring you the biggest political stories across the country at midday. Let's begin with the labor issues. The president of the Nigeria Labour Congress has clarified the details of the workers' wage agreed with the federal government yesterday. Mr. Joe Ajero, who was guest on our political program Politics Today, explains that there's a standard minimum wage of 30,000 naira in addition to an agreed provisional wage of 35,000 naira.
The minimum wage is a product of law. It's legislated in the National Assembly. So whatever we agreed, until it is legislated at the National Assembly, it is not yet minimum wage. The last negotiated minimum wage was 30,000 naira, and it is, inscribed into our statute books that we have 30,000 naira minimum wage. And that was why this one couldn't have answered minimum wage, when the law, will be expiring by April. So this one comes up under the form of, wage award. It's an award that is supposed to serve a purpose. It is an award that is supposed to take care of inflation, take care of the hardship necessitated by the increase in pump price of petroleum products. So it is not minimum wage, but it is a wage, added to the minimum wage. So should we in March, April, or before that time, negotiate the new wage to be 100,000 to be 200,000, it will be inscribed, as minimum wage law, which will be the new law in existence. But for now, what we have in our statute books as minimum wage is 30,000. But that person earning 30,000 is getting a total wage of 65,000. That is minimum wage approved and wage award. That's the situation today. Certain things will come into play, when we are discussing it. Inflation, cost of living, every other thing, will come into it. We will not go to ask for 65,000 because we'll ask for a realistic amount. Because 65,000 we are talking of, it's still at about $70, or thereabout. It's still not what should be minimum wage. It's not even up to $100. So when we come for minimum wage, we are going to look at a minimum wage. We are not going to ask for 65,000. Far from it.
Let's now head to the National Assembly, where the Senate has received a letter from the President seeking the confirmation of 3 more ministerial nominees. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read a letter from President Bola Tinubu requesting the confirmation of the nominees when the lawmakers resume plenary. The nominees are Mr. Balarabe Lawal from Kogi State, Mrs. Jamila Ibrahim from Kwara, and Mr. Ayodele Olawande from Ondo State. Meanwhile, the Senate has also amended the standing orders to stop first-time senators from vying for the position of the position of the President of the Senate and the Deputy Senate President. Now, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Onueze Okocha, says the decision by the River State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal to track out the case brought before it by the All Progressives Congress in River State, that's their candidate Tony Cole, is in line with the Electoral Act as amended 2022. Mr. Okocha, a senior advocate of Nigeria, reiterates that independent candidature remains unconstitutional in Nigeria.
It's a constitutional right to seek redress in courts if you feel aggrieved. But I always say your grievance must be a rational one based on the entire circumstances of the case. So congratulations to our governor for this happy development of his victory in all those petitions to election as an independent candidate. Yes, I know the National Assembly is thinking of amending that section of the Constitution and consequently the Electoral Act. There's nothing like independent candidates. You must go under the coattails of your political party. So I do not see any reason to fault the decision of the Election Petition Tribunal. The ruling of the court concerning the APC candidates was that the party itself withdrew while the petition was on. But he chose to soldier on, to fight on. He has said the decision of the tribunal that without the party he seems to be floating in the air. You need the foundation of a political party to even contest election. Now, your party has withdrawn, and yet you persisted in pursuing that election petition. I can only wish him luck, and again say he's entitled to go on appeal to the Supreme Court.
More stories now. Leaders of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Waka community, Owerri North local government area of Imo State, have continued to canvass support for the re-election bid of the Imo State Governor, Senator Hope Uzodinma. According to the leaders, a vote for Senator Hope Uzodinma in November is a vote for equity and fairness. The leaders who gathered during the campaign at Awaka community explained the reason why the people of Owerri North need to be back in the Imo Charter of Equity, which encourages rotation of the governorship seat.
Our people have decided that just like Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu, and Abia, that Imo will now join the business of the Charter of Equity, meaning the rotation of the position of governor between one senatorial district and another. So Imo people agreed that Governor Hope Uzodinma's second term, that all we want will be candidates from Olu, and all other candidates from different zones should step down. Because it is Olu's turn. After this second term, the politics of governorship will rotate to Owerri. That is the power sharing.
We have more stories for you, but let's remind you that our eyes are on the National Assembly, where it is expected that the Senate will be screening nominees from President Bola Tinubu, who will be added to the already confirmed ministers who have already started work. We have nominees Mr. Balarabe Lawal from Kaduna State, Mrs. Jamila Ibrahim from Kwara State, Mr. Ayodele Olawande from Ondo State. These nominees from President Bola Tinubu will be screened any moment from now, and any moment from now, I should say. As soon as that happens, we'll head over to the Senate for that confirmation to get to hear and see how things play out eventually. Remember, the Senate confirmed 45 ministerial nominees, and they've started work already. With this, if all of these gentlemen and lady are confirmed, it will now be 48 ministers in total. So our eyes and ears are right there at the National Assembly to see how things play out. But for now, let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Lunchtime Politics. As I said before we went on that short break, eyes and ears at the National Assembly to check out what will be happening there as the Senate of Nigeria screens ministerial nominees from President Bola Tinubu to be added to already confirmed and the ministers that have already started working to form part of the cabinet of this very administration. But let's remind you that, again, in just above a month from now, the elections, the off-cycle elections, will be in 3 states of Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo. And our eyes and ears are always there as well to find out what's going on in terms of preparations, how the candidates are getting ready, trying to convince different constituency on why they should occupy the #1 seat in that state. But today, we'll be talking to someone from Kogi State who is an APC chieftain. He joins us from our Abuja studio. We're talking to us about Kogi politics and preparations. I'm being joined now Abuja studio by Dr. Amadu Jibril Uludare. He's a lecturer at Department of Pharmaceutical and Medicinal Chemistry, Ahmadu Bello University, and also an APC chieftain. Thank you, sir, for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
All right, your party has been at the saddle for almost 8 years, and you are back to the people to pitch for continuity. Why should Kogi people listen to you in terms of the performance in the last 8 years?
Okay. Thank you very much, my dear brother. It's nice having me here and being here with you. Good morning or good afternoon to our fellow viewers. First and foremost, I want to appreciate the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for his recent resolution of the complaints and issues raised by the Labour Congress and for ensuring that the nation is not being grounded. It's part of the proactiveness of our party, part of the purposeful leadership the APC is presenting to Nigerians. Well, you said it's time for us to go back to the people. APC in the last 8 years in Kogi State has always been with the people. It's a government that has been constituted by the people for the people, who've run on people's driven policies. Our approach in governance has been targeted to the people, and I'm sure that the people are with us. Now that we're asking for continuity, it's simple. They should just evaluate our performance, see how well we've done, where we came from, what Kogi used to be before Governor Yaya Bello, what Kogi is today. The infrastructural developments are everywhere to speak for us. The stability and security in Nigeria is there to speak for us. The economic stability is there to speak for us. Even when the whole nation was having economic issues during the coronavirus, Kogi State stood out tall. I think it's in white and black. Kogi people knows the party that is good for them. They know APC is there to serve them, to lead them to the promised land. We're getting there. Governor Abello has done significantly well, and Alhaji Usman Ododo will do strongly better. Thank you.
Well, I must ask you, because, of course, that's the position of your party. Governor Bello has been, at different times, applauded his governorship, or his government, rather, for closing ethnic gaps. But the choice of Ahmed Ododo from Kogi Central has actually stoked ethnic rivalry, given the fact that Governor Bello himself is from the Central, and the West has never had a chance to lead the state. So now it's a battle of, say, the Ibira from the Central, Igala from the East, and predominantly Okun from the West. What is the APC telling the East and the West when they raise the question of fairness, especially for those from the West?
Okay, thank you very much. APC's message to the people in the West and East is clear. Alhaji Usman Ododo was not being imposed upon us. He's a product of democracy. The party had a Congress, had a primary election that produced Alhaji Usman Ododo. Definitely, it's not a reflection of just the vote from the people of Kogi Central. The people of the East and the West voted for him. And that is why he had that overwhelming victory in the primaries. But that being said and done, yes, there is a call for power rotation. There is a call for stability and fair share on governance. And that is why we are supporting Alhaji Usman Ododo to continue from where Alhaji Yaya Bello stopped. Go back to the history of Kogi State, even just from the most recent time in 1999 to date. The people of the East has been in power from 1999 to 2005. That signifies 16, 17 years in power, the people from the Eastern flank. Alhaji Yaya Bello is going to be 8 years by January next year by the special grace of God. And after that, he will hand over to Alhaji Usman Ododo for another 8 years by the special grace of God. And that makes 16 years from the central flank of the state. And then the people of the West will be patiently ready, politically united, and ready to go into the race to take it to their turn there. There is no contest about this. There is no ethnic diversity in Kogi. Alhaji Yaya Bello has invested significantly in uniting the people of Kogi State. The minister from Kogi is from Kogi East, a son to the late governor, may his gentle soul rest in peace, Alhaji Audu Abubakar. This is where you see unity in its fullest play. So yes, the people of Kogi West are hopeful, we're very supportive. We are with the APC. We're responsible for the victories of APC. Go and check our previous result in the last election. Kogi West has always done well. So it means we stand by our party significantly.
Mr.
And please,
Oludare,
if Kogi West will even have to present candidates.
if you can hear me, Mr. Oludare.
Should it be the likes of...
Can you hear me? Just a minute. I know you've mentioned the turn of the East occupying the position, in your view, I think, according to your calculation, almost 20 years, and now you feel it's fair that the Central occupies it for another 16 years before the West is considered. And you're saying that there's no problem. I don't think the, what do you call it now? The PDP is agreeing with you on that, because I was listening to Senator Dino Melaye, who is the PDP governorship candidate, and it was clear. He said, look, there has never been a time when campaigns have been about ethnic rivalry like this now, because of this whole arrangement in terms of stoking ethnic rivalry, because of this call for rotation. So what would be your response to that? In fact, they may be looking at that as a ground for upsetting the polity in the state and winning the election, because they feel that it's only fair that they are given a chance to run the state after everybody has had their turn, whether it's 8 years or 16 years or 20 years.
Well, it's Dino Melaye is entitled to his opinion as a person, and I'm sure that PDP has no moral ground to call for to make that claim. PDP were in power in Kogi from 1999 to 2005 and to 2015, and they consistently zoned their power to the Kogi East. They consistently produced candidates from Kogi East. They, over time, from candidate to candidate, in fact, at a point in time, it was from one senior brother to another brother. Alhaji Ibrahim Wada was PDP. His younger brother, Musa Wada, PDP. Ibro, PDP. So it's out of place if Dino Melaye makes that complaint. The same Senator Dino Melaye was a senator from Ijumu, the same local government where Senator Smart came from. They've been senators from that local government for between 12 to 16 years. If he knows about rotation, why not sharing it to other federal constituencies in Kogi West? He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Just as I said, the PDP is not in this race. So it's normal for them to come to the media to try to draw unnecessary, unguided popularity. If the PDP were to be in this race, the PDP produced the previous governors in Kogi from Kogi East. Why are they not supporting Dino Melaye? Dino Melaye, with due respect, he's a former senator of the Federal Republic, but he lacks what it takes to represent the good people of Kogi West. Kogi West are intellectuals. They are smart people. They are wise brains. And it's not an opportunity. When Kogi West is on the ballot, Nigeria will know Kogi West is on the ballot. These are just mere distractors in the aim of just spoiling our votes.
Mr. Aludari, if I may just butt in, because of time, if I may just butt in, a couple of questions for you, but unfortunately, I understand we don't have so much time to ask any more questions because of other things we have to do on the show. But just a quick one in a snapshot. So what is the APC offering? Just 30 seconds. That is different from what Governor Yahaya Bello has offered so far. What is different on the menu? 30 seconds.
APC is offering a continuity, a consolidation, and a significant improvement in Governor Yahaya Bello's government. Tourism, educational infrastructure, healthcare, industry, security is what APC is coming with. Alhaji Usman Ododo is well-tutored, well-learned. He understands the art of governance and is coming to make a difference. He stands tall among equal. And I assure you, Alhaji Usman Ododo is going to win this election because of, if you see his manifesto, I challenge any of the other political parties to bring forth their manifestos for us to see. So, we are offering Kogi people unity. We are offering the people of Kogi security. We are offering the people of Kogi health, educational infrastructure, and the center of tourism for Kogi.
If I may, Mr. Aludari, I sincerely do apologize. I really wanted to engage you on a couple of issues, including the issue of security, because, for instance, the APC SDP candidate has complained about level playing ground and a couple of other candidates. So, but unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of time. We may have to bring your party back to have this conversation, so we have the time to expound as much as we can. But I want to thank you, Mr. Amado Jibril Oludari, lecturer, Department of Pharmaceutical and Medicinal Chemistry, ABU Zaria, and also an APC chieftain. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to giving you the download of the performance of our party.
Thank you. And more stories now. Governor Ubasani of Kaduna State has raised concern over the high rate of out-of-school children in his state, urging all stakeholders to support the government to reverse that trend. He was speaking during a meeting with senior citizens and elders from Kaduna State to brief them on the activities of his administration so far. And now let's come back to some other issues. Well, let's take our attention away from the Kogi politics as well as the Kaduna issues of out-of-school children for a bit. I have with me in the studio to discuss yet another issue on Lunchtime Politics. Akinola Bonegun, coordinator concerning the largest stakeholders committee. Ms. Akinola, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you.
Apologies for keeping you waiting. I know you've been here for a bit. But let's start from it. I know that talking about the NDDC, which is why you're here, you're worried about representation. Tell us exactly what this is for you.
Yeah, if you look at NDDC, NDDC was created by law, NDDC Act 2000. And the law, Section 12, subsection 1, states that there shall be for the commission a managing director and 2 executive directors who are indigenous of oil-producing areas, starting with the states of the commission with the highest oil production quantum, to be rotated on the basis of quantum of production. Now, we have a situation whereby the initial state, 3 states produced executive management of the commission. And over the last 21 years, it had been 4 states that are producing executive management position, contrary to the law that established it. So what we are saying is that when you say rotation, repetition can be a substitute for rotation. It's expressly stated that those positions are to be rotated.
My concern, and I want to ask you expressly, in your view, does representation necessarily bring the required development beyond just a sense of, say, inclusion? What is important to you? Development for your people or just this sense of inclusion? What is more important?
Well,
expanding the conversation now.
Oh, yes. Thank you for that. If you talk about, we have tried something. We have tried repetition, and it has not worked. So many things are lacking in Niger Delta. A whole community was sacked by ocean surge. Nothing had been done to it. We want an inclusion so that people who are there, we want to work at least for the community they come from.
But I'm sure that your states and the states you are advocating for, they already, if there's a board, and whenever there's a board, they are represented on that board from different states according to law. But if I understand you, you're advocating certain positions. Is that correct?
That's correct.
MD?
MD, 2 executive directors. Now 3.
They've never been in that position?
No, they've never been.
And you feel that if they are in that position, better development will come to your people?
Obviously.
And how?
Obviously. Look, the people being there now are not supposed to be there by law.
What do you mean by they are not supposed to be there? Are they not indigenous of the area?
But they are supposed to be rotated, not repeated.
Okay.
You see, they are supposed to be rotated and not repeated. The way they see it is that rain or sun will still be there. It doesn't matter who is there. But the law, you see, we are saying this because the president talks about rule of law all the time. The government cannot be selective on what rules to obey. When he was inaugurated, he talked about rule of law. When he was at Benin South, he talked about rule of law. At the United Nations General Assembly, he talked about rule of law. 2-3 days ago, during his independence speech, he talked about rule of law. Himself is a beneficiary of rule of law, because that was what he said in India when the election petition tribunal gave its ruling. So the government must follow the law. What is being done now is illegal. And if we continue with illegality, we will not get there. We are saying that because we know the antecedent of this president.
All right, Ms. Akiola Bonegon, thank you so much for coming on the program. I know you're very passionate about this and you want to espouse it as much as possible. Is the coordinator of Concerned Ilaje Stakeholders Committee advocating for better representation for his people in
according to law.
According to law. I know you always add that. Thank you so much for coming on the program. Well, that's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. You've been served on lunchtime. Good afternoon.